Yo ho 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 ho. It's about an hour after I usually start. Sorry about that. I was trying to catch up on the main quest for Genshin Impact. And then, I don't know, 40 minutes before I usually start. Well, not 40 minutes before I usually start anything. Like, about 40 minutes. Like, about. How do I say this? I guess about like 20. God, why am I failing to say this? Let's go back to how I started saying it. About 40 minutes before I was going to start, streaming normally. The game put me into like a quest that I couldn't back out of without having to restart it all over if I leave. I didn't realize that until I was like over 10 minutes in it. And then it took quite a while. So now we're here with quite the delay. But at least the Switch 2 and Capture Card this time didn't require me to restart them at all. It happened before that I only had to restart it once. But not at all. I think this is the first time, so that's cool. But yeah, we're gonna go into the second episode of Great Ace Attorney 2. Memories of the Clouded Kokoro. Huh. Wait. Yeah, that. Start playing from the start of this episode? Yes. Episode 2. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. I didn't misread that earlier, right? The other thing said memories.
姿なき犯人による冬の夜の惨劇。背中を刺され倒れた裏若きレディが生死をさまよううちに事件は解決した。
Yeah.
窮地に陥った東洋人の留学生が我が友人によって救い
He sure
出さ
did
れ
that.
た。
All by himself.
ガストの
And the exchange student definitely likes that detective.
再び奇怪な事件が闇を切り裂いた。当時の新聞の戦場的な見出しを記憶している者も多いだろう。悪霊に見入られた死の邸宅、死刑囚の呪い、ガス魔人の恐怖。
Lots of interesting titles.
現場に駆けつけた名探偵は瞬時にその真相を看破するのだが、それは悲劇の舞台の幕開けを告げるプレリュードに過ぎなかったのである。
So, wonder when this picks up exactly. My name's Ryunosuke Naruto. I'm a fledgling lawyer just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago I arrived as a visiting student of law. Having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. And not just her. Currently I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. What? But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. From Susato-san? The one she read out at the end of last case. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Holmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Slash daughter. 30th of August, 7:28 a.m. Once again, way too early for any human being. Holmes' suite. Ah, Bruno, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Bacon. Good morning, Eris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Right, that's his alternative outfit. Wait, why didn't Iris look different? I guess she doesn't get one, huh? Only the 3 that were in the menu. Makes sense, I guess, because they were in the menu, but come on, Iris, come on. Shh, not another word, Mr. Naruto. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Holmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. You're getting kind of close here, personal space. The truth is as clear to me as any day, as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruto, you have, this very morning, met her with a surprise. Didn't we say as much? Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the 3rd button of your jacket. Third, clearly, when considered together, these 2 facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has. And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you? What were they doing? Shirley put your button off? Uh-huh. Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the 3rd string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder, then, that in my vexation I grabbed the 1st button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is, somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. Well, geez. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But surely Runo said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Ha 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 ha! Well, that really is a surprise. Good old Holmes. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. And, you know, except Naruto himself before he got to know him on the boat. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too, my latest special blend. And here we have Iris Watson, Mr. Holmes's lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl, who is the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published in Rance magazine. So, Mr. Naruto, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it, really? That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! When it gets to this time of year, Londoners seem to leave their hearths alight all day long, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames flit and dance about. But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space, really. No use at all. Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals, Shirley. But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea. I'm into it. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think? I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history. It sure would. The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a cold fire in the hearth. Yes, of course. Brilliant. The trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. How it taunts me. So, as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squib. Is that what people say? Ah yes, the huge metal chest with a lace cloth laid on it being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Shirley's many cases. Yes, so I've been led to believe, though personally I've never actually seen inside. There could be bodies! And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten. What? Is there a beast inside there or something? Yeah, what? Are those tomes alive and they will, bite? Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Mrs. Lotto wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand a mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves. Oh, why not? Everything's in an intricate balance. Surely he spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset. You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Holmes just needs to tidy up. Oh. That good old violin. Ah yes, Mr. Holmes' faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by somebody famous? Yes, it's a Stradivarius. Though I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Bruno. But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Holmes? I found it at a pawnbrokery among the forfeited articles. It clearly said Stradivarius on the label. What? The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see, so I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping. Sherlock Holmes, bargain hunter. That's his most famous title. But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow, I had said so on the label. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling. No. Did you not hear the Sherlock Holmes' title just now? He would never be outdone in a sale. Look, he got his thing back. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name. Shirley calls it his great analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all. That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? Ah, an extremely astute question, Mr. Naruto. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results of anything with which you care to present it. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess I have no idea. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. Yeah, that might not help. What are you talking about, Naruto? What do you even know? You don't even know what analytoscopes do. So how would you know what an analytoscope would be capable of? Ignorant! Ignorant! These are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Holmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruto, not quite. These trinkets are the selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They are souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruto. Memories. Really? So tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. I forget. Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Holmes. Wonderful. Ha ha ha. Ah yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today, The blue carbuncle? Yes, it's from a case of theft that Charlie solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a great for a garnet, you see, especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. Not blue. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? Oh. That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Sherlock Holmes conundrum, huh? There are so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves. Oh, do be careful, Runo. You mustn't try to the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. Well, I wish I could say the same for Shirley. The other day he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. Ooh. He what? He said he was hungry. I'll be extra careful. Oh, Holmes. Maybe he's just, you know, maybe he just wants to be the most eccentric person in every room, and so he will force that. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice. When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous. Wonder if she has any really nasty drugs in there, in the tea. I can type with my eyes shut, you know. I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. Does that actually get caught on the mic when I do that? Hold on. I can't see my mic output. There it is. Nah, not really. Seems like it's just giving one small burst. Anyway, I can make a very convincing machine gun sound, and everybody, whenever they hear it, they scream for their lives. I haven't actually done it in public much. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Oh. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might just have fallen asleep on the job. I'm sure that's happened to someone in real life. Alright. I have something very important to present. Oh, Mr. Holmes, about this? Shh, not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar for a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck, and for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolizes my role as a defense lawyer. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is in fact the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. I'm starting to wish I'd never shown them this now. The man's barking mad. Oh, that is quite the conclusion that he drew. Kazuma. Asogi Kazuma. Alright, fuckers, let's talk. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by International Post. Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Ah, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? quite wonderful. A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. Well, F1 cases too, you know? Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped that man twice. You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago? Ah, the mustache twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. Yeah, mustache mentioned twice. He didn't have 2 mustaches, surely? Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now, aren't they always? A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. He just like me. So, what was this startling news penned by Mrs. Sato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Holmes? Ah, yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Mrs. Sato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago, for what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. Oh. On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Sato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotaba, prompting him to send that telegram. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Yes. And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication too. But then Shirley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said, very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that. Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Holmes? About why Mrs. Sato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? It does rather convincingly sound like he just doesn't remember, but maybe it'll come back to him. It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No, it just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that. I wonder what Mrs. Sato's father is hiding. Shirley, do you know what it's all about? Weren't there those 2 characters in that case, or one of the cases, that never showed up again? Ah, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. Is it? And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Charlie, don't worry. See you later. Quite the sudden excuse. He scuttled off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikotaba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By of all people, Mr. Holmes. Aha, I found them at last. Iris, are they? Notes about the case, that's right. Susie and I compiled them together. Oh. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Miruno? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit. And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. But why? What happened? I don't recall that from the end of the game. Hold on. Just add some water. It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. Hawk was sick, and nobody saw her attack her, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. And then it all turned out to be an accident. The man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Holmes. Who is this Mr. Holmes that you're talking about? Never heard of him. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation, was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Holmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bratz at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a hansom and headed immediately to the hospital. Poor rat. 21st of February, 5:30 a.m. Damn, that's early. St. Bartholomew's Hospital Recovery Ward. There you are, at last. Good morning, Mr. Holmes. I think not. Oh? You're late. What on earth took you so long? We should either set everybody back to their basic outfits or change Susato-san into the extra stuff, so let's do that real quick. Hey, you Junior. Whoops. Didn't expect to see you in a game that isn't Silksong. Special contents. Taylor. Turn that back on. Alright. I'm doing okay. Just playing, a game in one of my favorite series ever. Replaying. I've played through this like a couple years ago, but I don't remember most of it, so it's kind of fresh. What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Miss Holmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we've made very good time. How about you, Junior? The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. Ah. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy, and feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Wow. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now. The victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Hey. She doesn't look very happy. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back? School, yeah, I guess. Gotta just, you know, survive that shit. Her name is... ah yes, here we are. Miss Green. She does look rather green. Is that, like, modeled after her? This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? Wow. Ah, I don't think that's decoration, Mr. Naruto. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses. Really? It's not exactly what you'd call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it? Well, I mean, look around. No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before. Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. There's also a painting here that we can't look at. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Who's that? Ah, yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruto. I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing that I thought of. Well. That hook there looks a little close to the window? I don't know. Oh, that bag next to Miss Green is also gigantic. Jeez. I just noticed. There are lots of bottles in that cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like this? If you were a patient here, I feel sure you'd take the medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. So, Ryunosuke is prone to you know, to sleep doing stuff. I've no doubt you'd managed to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well. Okay. There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mr. Sato? We can't look at the... yes, we can. Eek, a mouse, Mr. Naruto. An enormous mouse. I'd say that's a rat, from the size. Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best. Maybe it's a pet. But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we can say that that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. Oh. That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruto, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolates or biscuits or caramel. Chocolates. Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. Wow. What is this place, a zoo? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park. For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. Oh, a woman. I hope she hasn't read this. Yeah, that almost seems mean. Who would be resting here? This looks like the treatment notes for whoever's occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital. And yet they're not here. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so... They are probably running around the hospital then. Oh dear, how worrying. What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. Who can say? There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet, look. I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this. Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Otto. What have we done for her to have these opinions of us? Oh well. Good morning. She might be an artist. Hello, I'm Ryuno Skenaruto from the Empire of Japan. Oh no, was it your knife that... Are you the man who... No, I'm a lawyer. And I'm Miss Susato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Miss Naruto's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. You know, just like a dress for the job you want, not the one you have, I guess? So act like it, I guess? I don't know. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. What? I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. But if she had bent over backwards instead of forwards, she would have been stabbed in the chest instead, and then she might have been dead. Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Does she not know it was an accident? So, you're an artist? Are you Miss Green? She said so. Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really. At the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, you're still here. Or you're back, I don't know. Do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away from the underground from here. On the underground, rather. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town centre. Does that matter, Mr. Holmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? I suppose Hoseki-san does fit the bill. But maleficent? Come on, man. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art student to be walking in such a district. That's all. Was there a special reason? What's this? She suddenly clammed up. Mr. Holmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind. I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. But what about the incident, though? To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement? What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think, is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? While I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madame. Spectacularly by none other than I, Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. Mr. Holmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruto's hard work in court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. I don't think that would have helped. It was so selfish of me. Oh no. We're also relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. We are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Haha. Is there Mr. Narrow Fodder here? Mr. Narrow Fodder. Narrow Fodder now? Well, if you're looking for Naruto, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrow Fodder, good. This is for you. It's a message from Mr. Saucy Natsume. Natsume? You sent me a letter? Sent a message to me? Saucy Natsume. But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Ah, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Holmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Holmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? No, how could I have? You took it. It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case called a case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That would be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll hail a fiaker? Let's find out what that is called, how that's pronounced. I mean, I can guess at its meaning, but... Fiaker. So that's a carriage. Obviously. But how's it pronounced? Pronunciation. Hold on. Where's the thing that usually shows up here? Fuck it. I don't want to open a YouTube video for that. So we shall just call it Fiaker. Fiaker. It said something about French, so I'm guessing it's not pronounced Fiaker. It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. Uh-oh. He died, actually, and the Soseki that Susato-san saw in Japan is a fake! Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor, 7:18 a.m. Oops. Is that the guy that we met in the previous game? One of the guys that never showed up again? What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman is deceased. Without question, he's dead. Locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle. I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Ah, not the horrible... Wait, I came up actually with a way to do it with Sherlock. I don't remember though. Sherlock Holmes. Shoo, shove off. Show yourself to the door. I never invited you. Mr. Holmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I'm entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Grrr. This guy. Here they are already, the busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Holmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is as a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. You might be onto something. This is a crime scene. Don't go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, sunshine. I know you told me not to touch anything, but, come on. No, I didn't want to talk to you. Oh, okay. Oh, I said hands off! You're gonna mess up my crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Yeah, I wonder if you have anything to do with it. Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. But let's talk to him first. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just one story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So, did you know the victim? Were you friends? What are you being so shifty for? Uh-huh. What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never. On my honor, I swear it. Okay. What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked by now, aren't you, Mr. Naruto? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. So you were never invited, and you've never been here, but you found him here in his home. I don't see any flaw with that logic. Through that inspector over there. Okay. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Shakespeare. He was a lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss, as it happens. Or just dead. Dang. Mr. Shakespeare? I don't think this is a case of localization again, where it's supposed to be Shakespeare, but they had to change his name. I don't think that's the case in this one, for this guy. It was the landlord, old Mr. Gary Deb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Gary Deb got worried and kicked the door down. Dang. But doesn't Mr. Gary Deb have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Wow. Jittery Japanese hunchback. Really, Soseki? Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life, and a miserable end to it. So what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so should you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fella looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Poor man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I didn't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. I'm sure Holmes is all over it already. Or he's all over something at least. So, am I allowed to check now? No. Alright, Holmes, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? Mr. Holmes, what are you doing? Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Mr. Holmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madame, patience. We've not been here since in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. My goodness. But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Holmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. I'm sure there's absolutely no flaws with his reasoning this time. At the present time, I have managed to draw two incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Holmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. Right. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Huh? Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Holmes's deductions? No, please. Pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Holmes. Spare no detail. But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Holmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles unfold before our eyes this time. So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Yippee! The game is afoot. Look in that photo, it's not in the same outfit. I do think I might change the outfits back again. Just in case there are more cases, like in, the previous case, where there are actually other outfits and other details that might go missing if we don't have them on their basic stuff. Hey, Natsume, why looking so shifty, eh? Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Did he eat soap? Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's Last Supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The fork reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Well, yeah, I'd say most soap isn't exactly healthy to eat. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. You know what, that might be the most reasonable deduction he's actually made. It's obviously not what actually happened, but you know, you could make that deduction, right? That he's got foam at the mouth, there's soap on the table, what that looks like it's been, you know, taken a bite out of. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer of this course, of course, is the broken lock. No, I think that's from when they broke in to find the body. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. Oh, okay. And the sole key for the victim was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. Inferior? What are you suggesting? And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. Yeah, definitely. No perpetrator present. Bang. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes's Great Deduction. In that moment, reading Sherlock Holmes became so natural that it was as if I had read out what it actually said and I tried to correct myself, even though I did it the way I wanted to. You get that? Everyone's so impressed they're left speechless. There's just one thing, Mr. Holmes. You're disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary. In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. I mean, yeah, you try everything. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. Right. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilled the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Well, thanks so much for your findings. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh? What's that? Mr. Natsume? It's Mr. Natsume. Oh! I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. It was hard to miss, yes. Almost as if Mr. Holmes's actions touched the nerve somehow. No! Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, The great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Holmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Holmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Holmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Yippee! Now we can see him in his outfit too. I think, at least. Well, yeah, for sure, but, you know, not all that much, I guess. Foam at the mouth. Poison. I'm not, yeah, no. I was like, was I supposed to hit a button when he dinged it? But no. Observe. The Last Supper. The fork. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. I guess that's true, yes. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate the soap? There couldn't possibly be such a thing. Definitely not. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shakespeare must really have loved this stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruto. Look closely at this soap. Do you see that it would fit perfectly together with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. No shit. Why did you change the angle? Ting, there he is, with a little cute mouse guy on his shoulder, which also bears the katana. Huh. Could it be that the man was about to eat? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all, or he really sucked at eating it. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive a man to attempt to eat soap. Yeah, who would ever think of that? Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. Well, an excellent observation, Mr. Naruto, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is pretty much profound poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Holmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it? If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Uh-huh. There's that stain, which we can't look at. And there's the teacup. Nope, can't look at the stain. Yes, a western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. Well, that's a good way of describing tea, yes. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruto, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, There's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Uh-huh. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing prisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leaves us to the immutable conclusion. Leads us, rather, brother. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in his teacup. Just like he always said. The cause of death. Suicide or murder. Single teacup. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing unremarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Holmes suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Oops. It's another Western vessel for infused. It's a teacup, and it's too empty. It too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shakespeare was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. Almost don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. If only we could let Holmes's deductions rock. But that wouldn't be truthful. Chong. And yet we look oh so smug. Did the man die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Maybe he just liked having 2 teacups, you know? I sometimes have 2 bottles of water here if I think that one won't be enough while I'm streaming. I only have 1 right now, but, you know, sometimes. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's Last Supper, there was a guest present. Why does that silhouette look like that guy from that one case? Very descriptive, I know. But you know the one. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say you know exactly who was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is this broken lock. Or not. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruto. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Pilot books. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read The picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gabro. Aren't those the titles of the books that Natsume bought in that other case? Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. Soseki-san had just been to our bookshop and bought them, that's right. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Familiar books. Let's check the empty bottle too, just in case. But first, let's have some water. Which is not empty. Well, the bottle of water is not empty, not the water itself. It's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. What that makes you think, doesn't it? It makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time. Bother. Suzuto-san's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle. Haha. Absolutely destroyed. Well, we can't look at the funky glasses. Alright. Boom. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so, it's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at the second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence. In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No, never, non-negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Come on, Soseki. Don't be a dingus and just be honest with us. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Great performance, yep. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Oops. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes's great deduction. The dance of deduction. Well, lock him up, everybody. Not again, not again, not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard again. But wait. Hold your horses. Yes. Door, key, locked. Entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so flustered he's being even stranger than normal. What, you think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all. You'd have had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. Will he, though? The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. You horrible Sherlock Holmes. He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Working faster. Locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me, please. I'm innocent. Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes. My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me. Oh, see, he can't be a bad guy. Can't possibly be the murderer, because we saw him in the future in Japan where he was acquitted. But also because he's good to his cat. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Sheesh. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective, and more importantly our correction of it. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. Yeah. But we can't just let the untruths fly, you know? Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. And of course... What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garrideb, who discovered Mr. Shamspeare. Ah, Mr. John Garrideb, yes. I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right, we must remember to go and talk with him later, then. What is this? It looks like a part of an envelope, I think. Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? Ah, she's right. And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. Yeah, I agree. We'd better take this, just in case. Yeah. Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room, with its grim, shady goings-on. This one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamt of being a king. No, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord. A daimyo or such like. With a chonmage topknot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage, really. Oh, you'd look wonderful with one, and you already have a sword. Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword? That would be quite the sight. Very well kept. There's not much to these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and a bottle. And both of them are cracked. Oops. Yes, not much use, are they? What's the matter? Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all. Prosecutor Lord von Zieks? Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and that he should donate some to the needy. True. You can suggest it next time we meet. Maybe he'll listen. The window tax thing. As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay. What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property, it's extraordinary. It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. That's pretty stupid. Oh, What is it, Mr. Susato? If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose. Ah. Aha. Soap. Oh yes, it looks as though an amateur has broken in out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shamspeare who did it, I wonder, being the lodger renting this room? Ah, look at this, Mr. Naruto. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it. What, outside? It's not about the soap, right? Because that was clearly inside. I don't even know how that fit in there. It is so cold outside. You can feel it through the sky. It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on the ledge? Out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are the bars of soap doing lined up on the ledge outside the window? Maybe he made them himself and had to freeze them. I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two, after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look, here, the soap. Ah. Do you see? In the middle there? There's a patch that's a different color. If it's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. It looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Huh. Some kind of smuggling trick? Some kind of, I don't know. Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamsby and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruto. There's bitter poison there inside. I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty. That's true. So one was Mr. Shamsby's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from. But Soseki-san was poisoned, of course. Wasn't poisoned. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later? And yet it's still here. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins. Didn't that come up in that other case? Ah, I see. Yes, now you've pointed it out. Maybe these are like fake coins so you can infinitely use gas. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what this is made of, but you know, maybe it melts inside the thing or something. And then he just makes more. This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it? Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special. I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is rather expensive soap. That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. Doesn't look like there's anything remarkable. Actually, wait. What about these markings here? Not so unremarkable after all. This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsume is drinking. Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. Oh yeah, right, I guess one of them has a bit of a stain there. I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. I always gulp it down too. Sorry, Mr. Naruto. Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper way to make tea. To take tea. But nothing about those other marks? No? Or I guess maybe. This must be the cup that Mr. Shamsui was drinking from then. It's stained on the inside. Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea. Oh really? I've never noticed before. You've never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese. Oh. Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. Mrs. Subtle, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruto. Never. Oh. Okay, this whole thing. Ah, I see. Yes, now you've pointed it out. I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here? That's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating. So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold. Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. Yeah. Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Oh, it's Inspector Rickson, back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then. Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low, being back in the cell again so soon. Whoops, oh, hey, our guy might not be dead. We should probably go and... What's wrong, Mr. Naruto? Yeah! So why was everybody so sure he was dead? Ouch, ouch, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player. That struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now, how soundeth the next part? It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Indeed, oh happy day. Nice job, Gregson. Oops. I guess he might need some hospital time, but he's not dead. What? Walking Dead! Or maybe not dead. The fella isn't dead at all. What was that nonsense he was saying, though? I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. So yeah, he's not supposed to be Shakespeare, clearly. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5. Wow. Shakespeare? Oh, Shakespeare. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shakespeare, came back to life. Trish. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment, and Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime. Whatever that now was. We will still get to visit the other guy though, right? Okay. Ah, there's that other guy that we saw in the previous game. That's definitely the guy. Briar Road. Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume, arrested for murder But then the victim comes back to life. Twice, in a way. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamsmith did consume poison, as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody. I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, how differently the Japanese student in Britain is treated compared to the British student in Japan. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruto? Excuse me, could we have a word? Oh! And he's off. He just ran off. I feel sure I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it? Around here, probably. I do too, but I don't remember. With the exception of the top floor, where Mr. and Mrs. Gerdeb live, all the windows are bricked up. Yes, that's because of an old window tax that was charged on the number of windows a property had. In order to pay less tax, the poorer members of society filled in many of their windows. But the tax has since been abolished, hasn't it? So the windows could all be opened up again, surely? Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of this district can't afford to pay to have the work done. Yes, that's a sad state of affairs. Especially for people like poor Miss Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room. I suppose that's the price you pay for living in a very cheap accommodation. It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that. Can't look at the green shit here. No? Okay. There always seems to be a bicycle outside of the Gerdeb residence, with a broken wheel. I read that bicycles are extremely popular all over Great Britain at the moment, in fact. That one seems very warped though, especially the front wheel. Is that to make it more of a challenge to ride, do you think? It might not be on purpose. You know, I'm afraid that may be the result of the rider's incompetence. For the front wheel to be so badly warped, I'm afraid the rider may have been similarly afflicted. Then there's a good chance Mr. Natsume has been practicing on his bicycle, I think. Oh dear, I fear you may be right. The Gerdeb household and Mr. Natsume's lodgings are in a prominent position here on the corner. Sometimes when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it's a bit of a slant. It does rather look as though it could collapse in even the smallest earthquake, doesn't it? And isn't it supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Soseki-san has such a hunched back. Why has somebody built this snowman on some sort of pedestal, do you think? That's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruto. That's part of the snowman's body. Yeah. Really? But it already has a perfectly good body. Well, it's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner. And now we're looking at him as if he's strange. Poor man, I know how he feels. If anything, it's Japanese and British 2-balled snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? Yeah, over here. Where I grew up, it was also always 3. After all, real people do have 3 sections, head, torso, and legs. Do you ever think that perhaps you think about things too much? Hey. Maybe we'll meet somebody from outside Britain or Japan. Well, there doesn't appear to be much to look at here. So maybe we should pay Mr. Garrideb a visit. London's blanketed in fog again today, and the sky is covered in cloud. And if you look carefully in the distance, you can just make out the Crystal Tower being built. Ah, the Crystal Tower, yes. The centerpiece of the great exhibition that's opened in 6 months' time. So if this was 4 months ago, then that is gonna be soon-ish in our actual game time. Everyone's talking about the great exhibition of London at the moment, it seems. Well, it's to be the largest event of its kind anywhere in the world, with technology and scientists from all over. I can't wait for it myself. Do you think visiting students from the Far East like us will be granted entry? Why not? The last great exhibition was held in London. Had more than 6 million visitors, it seems. And this time the British are determined to make it an even bigger success to outdo the Paris exposition. I see. That's an incredible number of people. And with so many people expected to attend, we should easily be able to slip in unnoticed. Right. There's always the honest approach of buying tickets at the main entrance, Mr. Naruto. But how could we possibly afford that? Come on. Move. But prison too. Well, let's go here first. They still got that cannon and all that. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top-floor abode. We're here because Mr. Garrideb's the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget. Ah, you chaps, eh? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Garrideb as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning. I guess, yeah, he is alone now, huh? Because his wife was taken in, even though it was an accident. But she is still, you know, still kind of her fault. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garrideb? Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? He's standing up for us, wow. But you can sit down, because I want to investigate first. Nothing seems to have changed here, huh? That's an impressive collection of cakes on that fancy silver cake stand there. I feel sure that it was full of cakes when we first investigated in here as well. Yes, quite right. I haven't touched it since. Haven't done much at all, really, since it all happened. Time's rather stood still for me, you know. Oh. Time has stood still? Now that's an interesting phrase. I might be able to use that excuse when I'm next supposed to be tidying the office. Oh. You could just tidy up, Mr. Naruto. How does she do it? These shelves look like they've been completely torn apart by a wild beast. Huh. Reminds me of that battle of my wand, don't you know? Ah, the experiences of a seasoned veteran. Enemy had us surrounded on all sides. We really thought we were done for, the whole Bali company. We're taking a real pounding from their cannons, so all we could do was run for our lives. Oh, I thought that story was going in a different direction, really? Why? Well, the whole experience taught me one thing, I can tell you. When you're done for, you're really done for. That's not what a lawyer who often finds himself under fire wants to hear. We know what the screen is hiding now. The aftermath of the fiery and altercation the other day. Huh, don't suppose I'll be able to clear that mess up for some time now. Oh dear, this must be a very difficult situation for you. I'll say, people talk about twists of fate and whatnot. But this is a twist and a half. The rotten show all around. He's clearly struggling with everything that's happened. Good to see Mr. Gerdib's Medal of Honor still proudly displayed on the wall. The inscription reads, "For distinguished participation," if you remember. Yes, I remember, because I remember thinking even I might stand a chance of picking up honors like that. Wouldn't know it to look at me now, perhaps, but I had my devil-may-care days, you know. Devil-may-care? What did you get up to? Well, all in the past now, of course, and best left there. Best not, I want to know now. What a tease. But also, honestly, that sounded like he couldn't actually think of anything. That's your military uniform, isn't it, Mr. Gerdib? Well, it's ceremonial garb, yes. Been hanging on the wall ever since my retirement bash. Not in active service now, you know. Doesn't mean much to me anymore. You could have the old thing if you wanted it. Sure, I'll take it. Well, it might suit Lord Van Zieks, perhaps. An overly ostentatious outfit like this could be just what he needs. Very tactful, Mrs. Otto. Very tactful indeed. He deserves it. Ah yes, those enormous mortar shells. It's quite something seeing them up close, isn't it? Didn't you say something about firing them into the barrack, Mr. Gerdib? Ah, you remember, do you? Just a little mishap that occurred during training one day. What are you doing firing on your own men? The captain bellowed at me. I'm not surprised, a little mishap doesn't really do it justice, does it? Well, one has these little incidents when one's a hot-headed young private. Perhaps I should put some evidence that resulted from one of my little mishaps on display. Oh, does the great lawyer, like the great detective, want to exhibit some trophies of his finest moments? Why not? It might not be the elephant in the room, but it does have a rather large trunk. Huh? Huh? Not bad? Huh? Okay. There's a single apron drying on that enormous cannon-shaped clothes horse. Look. No, Mr. Naruto, that's a real cannon. I knew that. I was just testing you. Piece of history, that is. Seen plenty of action on the battlefield, I can tell you. Now the old girl and I are just enjoying the peace and quiet of retirement together. And of course, she'd come in handy if the enemy had decided to launch an attack again. Is there a war going on that I don't know about? There's always a war. 'Cause war never changes. Oh, a copy of Rand's magazine. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes is being read all over London. Isn't it wonderful? Naturally, one asks oneself if such a singular detective could really exist. But having met the chap, it's undeniable. He is most certainly singular. Well, you could definitely say that. Singularly dangerous. That's genuine public opinion for you, Mrs. Otto. Perhaps it should be reflected in the stories. Make no mistake, Mr. Naruto. I intend to snuff out the sort of public opinion we just heard, personally. I'm starting to see where Mr. Holmes' untainted reputation comes from now. Look at this. Mr. Gerdib, could I show you this? Been quite a couple of days, as you can imagine. I'm afraid I'm rather tired. Haven't really got the energy in the old eyeballs, to be honest with you. Some other time, then. I haven't saved in a while. By the way, today will probably be a little shorter because I started so late. But we'll see. About yesterday. And I'm going to drink some water. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back home, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, no, it must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Garrett noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shamsby got back, and the chap was still up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark here. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything alright, Mr. Soto? Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Gerda, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly? Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg. Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenants on the ground floor, I mean. Ah! That's a very good point. In the previous case with this guy, there was also a point where it seemed like these people might have some way of listening in or something. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's baldy outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I? I don't know. Why would you feel so accused? Then how did you know, Miss Aguirre? It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything. The gas? What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I'd more or less worked that out. Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside, and the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too. Then let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why? Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it? Mightn't it? Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Is that supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable. Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamp up here and they glow brighter in the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. You've got it. Of course, because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires. Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the above it used slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Oh, very perceptive. Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Gerdep. Absolutely fascinating. Oh well, nothing to it, really. And I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Gerdep is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor's chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer. And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door? Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour? Yeah, that's very true, Mr. Naruto. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that. Right, you don't look suspicious at all. Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door. The victim's name is Mr. Shakespeare, I believe. Is that right? Is that a real name, though? Yes, William Shakespeare. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. And how would you describe him? In a word, destitute. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming features of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bally screw loose. So hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into. Oh. Why not both? Mr. Naruto, that's a little rude. I didn't say it out loud. He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet and all that. Yeah, exactly. Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated. It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there? Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shakespeare would have had much in common, or much reason to fight. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruto? Really? How rude. I didn't say it out loud again. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again. Perhaps. Good idea. But how do you feel about this funny soap? Okay. You don't feel anything. Unfeeling, uncaring. Did you send this? No? Alright. I guess while I'm here I might as well prevent this too, just in case. Nope. Alright. That moves things along quickly. Look, Mr. Naruto. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire. Oh, yes? What is he? Tell me. Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess, you're talking about Mr. Holmes. He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost. But his diabolic deductions, they are not of this world. They've left me. Cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you. Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruto. You were heavily involved in that deduction too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh. The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. Now, in the absolute worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. Great. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible. Oh? I'm stuck in the cell, suffering for some silly, wrong end of the stick. You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer. Why the mustache? Yeah, why the mustache? Constant questions. I'm sorry to hear that. But really, why the mustache, though? Ah, that selfish shyster. Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Good point. Wickedly wishy-washy, William. Excellent points. Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shamspeare was never actually dead in the first place. Ah, yes, that might make sense. And I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last. All of a sudden. Well. Oops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspeare, didn't you? You gotta be honest with us, man. I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. Well, you're in luck. Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of this story. Why am I cursed like this? Wanna have some soap? Mr. Natsume? Oh, what do you know about this? Ah, there it is! That lathery lowlife that took my neighbor's life and sent me sliding to the depths of despair. Oh? Slippery, sickly, psychotic saboteur. You've really gone off soap, haven't you? Absolutely, and I've made up my mind. The next time someone gives me soap as a present, it's friendship finished, firmly, forever. I don't know what that we can blame soap for everything that happened, Mr. Natsume. Well, let's talk first. Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell. But, Mr. Naruto Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back? It's hard to believe that was only yesterday. Yeah, it feels like, I don't know, half a game ago. After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening at, past 9, it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspeare. So you did go to the victim's room then? As we feared. I didn't do anything wrong. I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time. Then what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell. That ties in with what Mr. Garudeb said. That the victim went out and came back after 8. We met again later that evening, at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift. So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then? And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you? Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet. Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate. Obviously Juliet is much stronger. I never read it, but obviously Juliet must be much stronger. I'm sure. Such stimulating subject, Shakespeare. And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shamspeare's tea. Hello, Ryunosuke? Hello? No, never, not at all. Team Juliet won. That was me. Good shit, Soseki. And when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit, I swear it categorically. Mr. Natsume, you often say that the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time I've learned that it's not a place for me. It can be very tiring trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture. There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me, they all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. Moved more times than I can remember, and then 1 week ago I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me. Fair. And I think we've talked about that before. The rent? Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap, because the room is cursed. We've talked about that too, haven't we? Cursed? Cursed how? The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room. Thanks for clarifying what that means. Previous occupant, I would have never known. Died there. Oh no. He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money. A horrible history as a small price to pay. When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I'd signed the lease, but like lightning. Brave or blinkered? But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was. Gosh, was it really so awful? Honestly, if I could get cheaper rent for a place where somebody died, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Horrible history. How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened? At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me. Do you think that might just have been your mind playing tricks on you? No, my mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. My mind doesn't know any tricks. I don't know if you would want to say that about yourself. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to that place. A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who've died in that room lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me. That really is horrible. And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shamspeare was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room. Maybe like something about the gas had you choking, had you, having trouble to breathe or something. Maybe it doesn't have to be, hold on. Maybe it wasn't a physical, an actual hand or so strangling you rather. I guess we'll find out, eventually. You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible. Yes, you're right, I know it, and that's why I'm gonna remain in this cell forever. I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home. I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodations with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history. Da-da-da. You, Susato-san knows how to make the man listen. Of course. Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well. You mean Mr. Garida? Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again. Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near that place. I would. Perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements. Yeah. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his lit rooms. What do you mean, he pays much attention to the gas lamps? Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please forget I said anything. I think we could just let him know. What's the problem? Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shamspear isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. I do hope you're right. Excuse me. I thought it was him. Inspector Gregson. I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh. Which do you want first? The bad news, of course. Always, every time. The bad comes first. Bad news comes first, that's right. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news is, wow. Huh? Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Why do you even give us a choice then? Then why did you ask me my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspear, was just unconscious. He's come round now. Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already. Is he claiming that Soseki did something? Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume? Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell. Sorry, no, that's not one on the cards. What? Why ever not, Inspector? Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear. You don't mean... I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume. Arr! But why? By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life. That wicked caitiff, Soseki Natsume. No! Wait, no. So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. Wonk wonk. No! Well, good luck finding a lawyer. And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court, and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. The very next day. They work fast. Alright. We continue. Cool. And I think, since we started so late, and this is a pretty good stopping point, we'll just call it here then. So, thank you for watching, hanging out, and reveling in the memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro with me. And I hope you'll join me again sometime. Presumably tomorrow, if things don't go wrong, or if I don't feel like doing something else, I don't know. So yeah, join me then. If not, then join me some other time. I'll be around. It'll be good. So yeah, come on by. And until we meet again, I say otsukare-sama. Bye-bye.